Hello and welcome. My name is Sarah Alice, and I'm going to take you through a yin yoga practice that is all about opening up into the heart space and practicing gratitude. So we're going to get started with the pelvis a little bit lifted. So I'm just sitting on a bolster here, bringing the feet into Siddhasana. So one heel's in front of the other, but you can come into any position that feels comfortable for you. I'm going to take the hands on top of the thighs. And just have the palms facing down so we connect to ourselves on a deeper level. And if it's comfortable for you, close the eyes down or soften the gaze to the tip of the nose. And just allow yourself to go within. Take a little tuck of the chin down towards the chest so we honor that natural S-shaped curve of the spine. On the exhalation, we're going to melt the shoulders away from the ears. I'm going to allow all of the body to relax here, apart from the spine. We want to root down through the sit bones and elevate up through the spine, up through the crown of the head. Keeping this line of energy transversing through the length of the body, or the upper torso, I should say. And essentially what that does, it really helps us to breathe more deeply. Because if you're rounded through the spine, then it compresses the internal organs. It compresses the space in which the diaphragm has to operate and draw air in. So when we are lengthening through the spine, the diaphragm has full space to draw down into the internal organs, bringing the air into the body. And then all that space to then release, draw the navel straight towards the spine as the air releases out. Just allowing the rest of the body to soften. Starting to notice that sense of lifting up on the intake of breath, how we heighten through the spine, the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, that sense of coming back down to the earth, that sense of grounding. Because essentially our body is the vessel that connects the earth to the sky. And breath travels through us. And if you can, keep the breath coming in and out via the nose. And just allowing the breath to come. So we soften through the jaw, through the brow, the shoulders, the spine. Those areas where we may be holding on to tension, but all the while keeping that elevation through the crown of the head. And in this practice, we're going to open up into the heart space. This is a place where we can be really guarded and put up barriers, especially if we're in a mode of self-protection, which sometimes is essential, it's key. But other times it actually stops us from receiving love as well as being able to give it. So having an open heart can be incredibly powerful. Sometimes it can feel quite vulnerable. So this is where we really focus on the breath to guide us through those times if we feel exposed or open. And it's from this heart space that we can practice our gratitude. So if you're feeling that you need to connect to that sense of gratitude, if things may be feeling a little bit challenging, you may have heard of doing a gratitude journal where you write down 3 things before you go to sleep that happened that day that fill you up with joy, that you were grateful for. And it really just changes your perspective on how you view your life. And we can definitely bring that into our yoga practice. Now, the way that I'm going to invite you to do that today is starting with a mudra called Lotus Mudra. So if you just flutter open your eyes, and we're going to bring the hands into heart center and bring the base of the palms together. The outer edges of the thumbs are going to connect, and the outer edges of the little fingers as well. And the fingers in between are going to open wide. Thumbs connect into the sternum. So this is our lotus flower, connected to our heart. And in this space, And again, you may wish to close your eyes down here. I want you to put in what you are grateful of. So no matter what time you're doing this during the day, it might be in the morning, it might be before you go to bed. This can be a thought, a feeling, something that you are grateful of. Place it inside that space between your hands in this lotus mudra. And then in the inhalation, we're going to reach the hands all the way over the top of the head, offering that gratitude to the universe. And then we release it. Drawing our hands back into Lotus Mudra. And finding a second thing that we're grateful for. It might be for the nourishing food that you've been able to give yourself today. A friendship. It might be a letter of warmth. Something that went well today. Anything that you're grateful for, put it in here. And offer it up to the universe on the in-breath. Releasing it to the universe. And then bringing the hands back into heart center. And this time, the thought that you put inside your palms, I want it to be gratitude for a person in your life. Anyone who is really there for you, supports you, or inspires you, that you're grateful for. Put your love and thoughts into the space. And inhale. Send that love and that gratitude out to that person. And then from here, just placing the hands back onto the thighs. Nice. So we're going to come into our first pose. I'm going to stick with the bolster. Now, if you don't have a bolster at home, you can just roll up some blankets, anything that's going to support you in this way. But essentially, I'm just going to slip it from underneath my sit bones now. My legs have been crossed for a while, and so have yours, so you might just want to sort of lengthen up the legs, have a little shuffle through. And then coming to sit down on the mat, I'm going to take the bolster to the base of the spine. Now I'm also going to bring in 2 blocks here. You might not need them, but it's nice to have them there just in case you feel that you want them. And also this flat block here. Okay, so if you don't have one of these, a rolled up blanket again will be fantastic, or even a folded blanket will work really, really well. And I'll show you how you can use these props. So I'm going to take my spine onto the bolster. So this is an extension of the spine, and already I can feel the opening coming into the heart space. Now, if that's too strong of an extension in the lower back, this is where this block comes in really handy. You can lift the sit bones up, place the block underneath the sit bones, and that just reduces down the angle in which your spine is being extended. Now with the legs, you have a couple of options. You might choose to keep them in constructive rest, or you might choose to have them long. If you want to open up into the pelvis, what can feel really nice is bringing the soles of the feet together, coming into a supine butterfly pose, allowing the knees to roll to the sides. Now, options here, you might even take the bricks underneath the legs like so. Otherwise, how I choose to use the bricks is I'm going to place them in line with my shoulders because I want to fully open up into my heart space. Now, option number 1 for this pose is that hands can come down by the sides of the body, palms can face up. And this opens really beautifully into the pectoral muscles. So if you spend a lot of time rounded over technology with that kyphosis, that rounding of the spine, this can feel really nice. And this might be enough for you. If you are more open, it might be that you cactus the arms and then take the backs of the forearms to the blocks and take your time just to set yourself up here. So the in the correct position. And so now I'm fully opening up through my chest. Now what I'm also doing here, or we're also doing if you're doing it with me, is when the arms are elevated, coming above the head, then we're stimulating into the heart and the lung meridians. So in this practice of yin yoga, we draw qi into the meridian channels of the body by opening up areas of the body and finding a target area. So essentially putting the body into traction in order to find a stress in all the tissues, which leads to a stretch. And this, in traditional Chinese medicine, the theory of traditional Chinese medicine draws a qi into this area. So if there's any blockages happening either within this meridian channel itself or to the organ in which it correlates to, so this being the heart and the lungs, then it can help to find that equilibrium. It can help to decongest if there's any blockages. And another way that you can look at this is that you are opening up into the tissues of the body and allowing fresh oxygenated blood to penetrate nice and deep. And it's that oxygen in the blood that helps to heal and replenish the cells and draw out toxins that the body doesn't need anymore and it can be eliminated. And you might even choose to approach this practice from a point of view where the meridian channels are located in the connective tissues of the body. So that's in the joints, that's in the tendons and the ligaments, in the fascia and the myofascia. So we're opening up into these areas. So whether you approach this from a Western medicine point of view or the traditional Chinese medicine energetic point of view, they both correlate beautifully. So hopefully you're starting to feel the benefits of this pose now, feeling that sense of opening through the heart. And this is the most coveted area of the body. If you think about if you are feeling unsafe in your body, you'll tend to cross your legs, cross your arms and make yourself small. So by coming into this opening, it's the antithesis of that. It does make us feel somewhat vulnerable. And if that happens to you, then just breathe into that discomfort, knowing that you are safe, knowing that you can come out whenever you want to. And just one thing to note here, if you start to feel any tingling in the fingers at all, do come out, because pins and needles is fine. It's not dangerous in the body, but it can lead to numbness of the extremities. Because occasionally you might be impinging on a nerve. So in that case, come out, take some movement, because we don't want to have any numbness there, because that can lead to overstretching of the body, and that's definitely not what we want. So we're going to stay here for about another minute. And I just want you to breathe into where you're feeling sensation. Allowing the jaw to soften and the eyes to close. And just notice where your thoughts are here. If the thoughts are distracting, then maybe come back to the breath. Just notice the sound of it as you take it into the body. And the sound as it exits the body. The sensations that come with the breath. Give yourself permission to be fully present here in this practice. I'm just going to take a few more rounds of breath here. And then to exit out, bringing the hands down to the outer edges of the thighs and just drawing them back in towards the midline. There's a couple of ways that you can exit here. It might be that you just roll off to the right hand side and press yourself into a seated position. Or it might be that you just engage the abdominals and sit up. Now, having done that extension of the spine, it might feel quite nice to give yourself a hug. So wrapping the forearms around the shins, draw the chin to the chest, forehead to the knees. Or you might even take hold of the shins, lean back, so you're creating a little bit of a hammock here. Lovely. And then if you want to, please do take more of a rebound. So the rebound in yin yoga is the space that we take in between the poses. And it might be that you come into stillness and you can feel the energy that you may have shifted or where it may have pulled in the body with that drawing in of chi into specific target areas. It might actually be that you want to move through the body. So quite often I will come into a downward facing dog. I might have a little pedal through the feet. Just taking your time before setting up for our next pose. Good. So transitioning onto your knees when you are ready. We're going to come into Anahata pose now, which is melted heart. It's also referred to as puppy pose. So again, the title kind of gives it away. It's a heart opener. This is also really lovely for elongating the spine as well. So props that you may want to use for this one. Usually I just use the bolster, or you might not need anything at all. You might want to take some padding for the forehead, either with a folded blanket or your foamy block here. We're going to come on to hands and knees. I'm going to feed the elbows down towards the earth. Now for Anahata, I'm going to reach the hands forward. Allow the sternum to feel heavy. Now if you're open in the shoulders here, you might just rest the chin. Otherwise, you might take the forehead to the mat and then roll towards the hairline to lengthen through the spine and through the cervical spine here, the back of the neck. So if you want to use the bolster, if that's too strong on the shoulders, really nice variation is to take the bolster underneath the rib cage. And you may take the knees a little bit wider here. And again, you can pad out the knees with blankets if you wish to. If you're fairly open as well, you might even take one cheek to the mat. So just setting yourself up. I'm just going to draw my knees a little bit closer in. And so as you come here, you feel that connection to the earth through the palms. And so in yin yoga, 3 principles that we work to. Number 1 being finding your edge. So I'm going to come to my full range of motion. And then ease back about 20 or 30%. So I've done that by using the bolster. So I'm not going to my full level of flexibility because that's going to make it sustainable. I'm going to find some stillness here. That's the second principle. And the third principle is to stay a while. And this is really relevant in this practice because it's the time element that allows us to bypass the superficial tissues of the muscles. Because what tends to happen is that when we come into sensation, the muscles will activate to ensure that we're not overstretching. But when the body realizes that it's safe, then what it will do is relax the muscles and we start to penetrate deeper and start to access into the connective tissues. As I mentioned previously, it's in these connective tissues that the meridians reside. So in Yin Yoga, you will, of course, stimulate the meridians, but it's the duration in Yin Yoga that really makes a difference. It can really shift energy. So we surrender, we marinate, we let go, and we invite stillness in, which can be really challenging. And when I feel challenged in this practice, I will come back to that intention of gratitude. Grateful for this body of mine and the way in which it supports me. I'm going to stay here for about another minute. And as the body does adjust to being in sensation, and as the body does realize that it's not in any danger of overstretching, then it might be that you do go a little bit deeper. So kind of bending the second rule about finding stillness, by all means, if you need to start to exit out a little bit of a pose or go deeper into it, then listen to that feedback of the body. This practice is all about that, being really in tune with how the body is responding and what the body needs. Good. Taking about another 3 rounds of breath here. And then to exit, I'm going to exit so slowly. I'm going to press gently down through the palms. Lightly round through the upper back and easing the hands back underneath the shoulders. Now, a nice counterbalancing position for Anahata is to come into cat stretch, so drawing the chin to the chest. And you might even bring the knees together and kiss the ribcage on top of the thighs, taking the hands down by the ankles, palms are facing up. So it's a lateral opening across the shoulders, but it's a counterbalancing position from what you've just done with the shoulders. So it can feel really nice. I'm going to ease my hands back in by my knees, rolling up through the spine now. And then from here, we're going to take one final round of poses. It'll be 2 legs, we do 2 sides. Coming into half shoelace with a lateral bend. And this is really nice, again, for accessing into the heart meridians. When I was talking about the heart and the lung meridians before, they both transverse through the arms. So whenever you work into one, you're working into the other. So for me, I am actually fairly tight in the outer edges of my hips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place either a foamy block or your folded blanket underneath the sit bones. And I'm going to extend my right leg long first. I'm going to take a bend in my left knee and I'm going to kiss the knee on top of the thigh. So just to show you from a different perspective, this top foot's coming right in to the glutes. Okay, so it comes down. Now, if you're feeling really tight in the hips, the knee might be up a bit, which is fine, in which case you might want to put some blankets underneath. Now, for the lateral flexion, I'm going to bring a block in here. I'm going to take my elbow onto the block and just rest the head nice and gently, so the neck's supported. I'm going to take that left arm up and over, and I'm actually going to soften the elbow here and just relax it down. I'm keeping both sit bones grounded. And then breathing into that left side body. Softening through the jaw, you might close the eyes down. And hopefully you're starting to feel also an opening in the outer edge of that left hip. If you're feeling tight in the hamstring, you might even feel it there. And actually, if you need to, if you feel any kind of sensation underneath that base knee, then please roll up a blanket or a towel or anything just to pad that out, okay? There's nothing to say that that knee needs to be extended. It can be soft. And this practice is really just about creating a shape that's going to bring you into sensation, into your edge, but it's your edge. So us as teachers are here to guide you into those areas, but feel free to have a play as to where you need to go to get into that area, because we're all unique, every one of us. And we're doing this practice from home or from wherever you are, wherever you've joined me. So you don't have a neighbor to sort of compare yourself to, but if you are in a class environment, this is why this practice is lovely, because you can close the eyes down. It doesn't matter what your neighbor is doing. All that matters is how you're feeling in your body. We're really allowing the body to come into the parasympathetic nervous system as well, into that rest and digest. So if you have had quite a busy day, or you've got a busy day ahead, this is a great place to come to work with the nervous system to best support you. I'm going to breathe here for about another minute. Tuning into the sensations of the body. And this practice is very contemplative. It really allows you to tune into your internal landscape, so you can discover what's happening with you. Because if you're like me and busy rushing around from A to B, it's not always easy to create space to hear the language of the body and listen when we need to rest, or other directions it may give us, because we're always in doing mode. And even though technically we're in doing mode by doing a pose in this practice, we're also creating space, so we're allowing ourselves to just be. It's really interesting to see what comes up when we create that space. Good. So again, I'm going to take a nice slow exit out, going all the way up. And so for my rebound here, I'm actually going to physically lift the leg over. And I'm going to pause in stillness, because it's nice to feel the difference from the sides of the body. So I'm feeling much more open through that left side of the body. And again, normally when we work one side of the body, it's so instinctive to go straight into the other side. We don't pause to actually notice exactly how it is different. But we do understand that the body wants to come into that homeostasis, back into equilibrium. So we do understand that actually, yes, I really want to come into the pose on the other side to feel that sense of equilibrium. So let's come on to the other side. One side may feel very different from the other. Taking the block. And if you're really open, there's nothing to say that you can't change the props up here. You might come down onto the bolster. I'm going to take a lot deeper. And it's good to note that you do not need to look aesthetically the same as you did on the other side. What you do want is to come to the same level of sensation. And that level of sensation, our edge, it's not neutral. It's not painful. We're never sitting in pain. but we're definitely outside of our comfort zone. Because when you feel that sensation of opening, of stress in the tissues, you know you are getting into the target area. So this one also gets into the gallbladder meridian quite nicely, working with the side body. Just making sure that the neck feels quite comfortable here. And if it's too much of an extension in the shoulder, by all means, bring the hand down by the side of the body. You're not going to get quite the same level of stimulation into the heart meridian, but you're still going to get a nice opening. So connecting to the breath. And again, we'll stay here for about another minute. Breathing into sensation. And if there's any environmental noises that are occurring around you, come back to the breath. Allow it to anchor you to your practice. Last few rounds of breath. And then just starting to gently unravel. Again, unfurling the body. And maybe taking that stillness so that you can actually feel that sense of equilibrium now that you've worked equally into both sides of the body. Or you might come into cat-cow to release the spine. Because the spine does love to come into flexion, extension, and lateral flexion to keep healthy. Very nice. And then from here, we'll just take a short Shavasana. So just a little practice this morning, but a really nice one to open you up into your heart space. For the Shavasana, just coming to lie down in corpse pose. I am going to bring my trusty bolster in, place it underneath the knees. And this is always a really nice way of releasing any stagnant energy from the legs. And it might be that you take the hands on top of the belly, or hands can come down by the sides of the body. You might have the palms facing down. Energetically, when the palms are facing down, you're grounding down, you're connecting to the earth. When the palms are up, you're open to receive from the sky, from the universe. And when the palms are in contact with the body, it might be the belly, or it might take the left hand over the heart and the right hand over the belly. It connects to the heartbeat and the breath. It's more connection to yourself. So just coming into whatever position feels comfortable for you. Whatever energy you wish to connect to. And coming back to our sentiments at the beginning of class, this sense of gratitude. Even on the days that can feel like an uphill climb, it's connecting to those little glimmers of joy. And sometimes it might be the simplest thing, just seeing a flower in bloom or a little ray of sunshine that breaks through the clouds and hits your face. Just practicing gratitude for even the tiniest things can really change our approach and our mindset. So allow the body to soften now. Releasing through the toes, through the balls of the feet. Releasing through the heels and the ankles, the calves, the knees. Thighs are heavy. All of the sacrum grounded. With every exhalation, feel the body melt into the earth. Feel the earth support you in return. Softening through the belly, through the spine. Softening through the lower rib cage, mid rib cage, upper rib cage. Releasing into the collarbones and the shoulders, upper arms, elbows, forearms and wrists. Releasing into the knuckles and the fingertips. Long through the back of the neck and open through the throat. Jaw is soft, so allow the tongue to fall to the lower palate of the mouth. Releasing through the facial muscles, especially those around the eyes and the brow. And then finally, releasing through the crown of the head. Whatever position you are in, for these final moments of our practice together, soften here and allow the body to be breathed. You are so welcome to stay here in your Shavasana. If you wish to complete the practice with me, the inhalation, reaching the hands over the top of the head, stretching from the tips of the fingers all the way through the spine and pointing into the toes. Drawing the knees into the chest, giving yourself a hug. A little rock from side to side, massaging into the sacrum. Taking a gentle roll off to the right hand side, pressing into the earth. And making your way into a comfortable seated position. Bringing hands into heart center. Drawing the thumbs into the sternum into the thumbs. Inhale, lift the heart, lift the head to the sky. Exhale, bow the head down towards the earth. Thank you so much for taking the time to practice today. Any feedback, any questions, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Wishing you a beautiful day. Namaste.